Welcome to the show, my good friend, my on-screen wife, Kathryn Meisle is with us. And I can't wait to talk to Kathryn about being addicted to acting, because I know she's gone. She is a full-blown addict, because when you look at her resume and you work with her, you realize you're working with a very talented individual who just, as the kids say, knows what's up. So, Kathryn, you have an extensive Broadway, stage, film, television career, and I want to try to cover it all. But my first question is, that I ask everybody, why are you addicted to acting?
I can't imagine my life without it. I wouldn't be who I am without it, probably. It's everything. I've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. I mean, and I have addictive personality. So, it gives me the, I always feel like it's what I'm meant to be doing, which is, yeah.
When did you start?
As a wee child, my father started a little Shakespeare theater up in Maine, and I started playing fairies and maids in Shakespeare plays, and that sort of began it. And I kept doing it every summer, even while I was like in high school. I would do it, and then sometimes in summers during college. Yeah. Anyway, I've been doing it for a long time.
So that was the legendary theater at Monmouth?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great old place. That is.
Yeah, I think it still exists, and it's still running.
I hope it does. A friend of mine actually later on who I met also performed there during the summers. I hope it does. All right, let's get a little bit deeper in what does it give you psychologically? How does it feed your soul?
Wow, these are deep questions. Well, there's lots of ways. One thing about when you're doing, especially like a play, when you're doing it the same thing 8 times a week, night after night, you have to be like in the moment. You have to be listening and present, and you can't be thinking about anything else. But you have to receive your energy and from the audience and from your fellow performers, and give and take. I guess it would be comparable to like, a sport, but I don't play any sports, where you have to be completely present to whatever's you in the moment. And that's kind of like the spiritual kind of gymnastics of it, I think. Because I'm not really good at sitting down and meditating, although I always attempt to, or things like that. But it's like you're in the zone. And another thing is, if we're all sparks of each other and we're all energy and we're all electricity, the cool thing about acting is that you are communing with not only yourself, but the character you're playing, the story that you're telling, written by the playwright, the other actors and other characters, and then you perform it for other little bits of humanity and energetic sparks of, the universe and all that shit. It's like, it's kind of like big and magical, and it makes me, yeah, it's kind of sacred in a way, that way. If you may, did that make any sense to you?
It makes complete sense to me. It's
just like this energetic exchange of humanity. And we're all different sparks, and it just blows my mind that every night you get to like play to like 1,000 different sparks of humanity and tell this human story, and it's different every time, the exchange there.
Well, as you know, I have a background in sports, and I think the comparison to gymnastics is spot on. Spot on. I think that, and I've never heard that, but I think that is a great comparison, great parallelism, because gymnastics is also performing to a degree. You have the judges, you have the art form, and so forth. Yeah, the reason I ask these questions and the reason I started this podcast is because when I talk to people and I try to explain to people why I do it, unless you're an actor, you don't get it. And it's not just reading the lines at all. That's just the beginning of it. But I was in sports television for 25, 30 years. So the other day, I was at a gas station and somebody recognized me from sports. So it's always nice to be recognized, but that's not it. Like, it's really not it. And because I've had my ego stroked, but I have doing the sports thing in Boston. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but there's something more that the psychology of it, the fulfillment of it, because I
Yeah.
don't know how you feel. I feel the same way. If I nail a scene in class, I mean, nail it. And when you do, it's that euphoric feeling where it's just all natural. It just
Yeah.
flows through you. To use a main term, it's like a hot knife through butter. And
Right.
it doesn't matter if there's one person in
Mm.
the room or 1,000, right?
Yeah.
It is spiritual
Yeah. You're in the like in the zone, like you're
in the
saying.
zone. Yeah, and I try to explain it to my wife or something, and it's just you got to be a little loony like the rest of us.
It's
So
kind of like you're being a channel too. Like you're also another thing I love about what we do is getting to know in the head the psychology of another character, and then there's this wealth of information. Like I love doing research. I freaking love researching, and
right.
any from anywhere, like to just fill my pockets with all the tools to bring to a performance. And then also the uh the muscle of practice, and working on your instrument, and running your lines over and over and over, all the things that contribute to it. But yeah,
That's why
it is.
auditioning is so, it's necessary, but artistically it is not fulfilling.
No, especially these days, and I'm old enough to have have mostly had in-person auditions. This whole on tape thing is, I don't understand it. I'm too old, but anyway,
Well, it's just
it's
like
you don't get
Phillips.
the exchange of energy.
Correct. And like the late Philip Seymour Hoffman said, there's no way that you can completely know a character, And this is not a criticism of casting directors. I mean, this is just the way it is. And casting directors know this. I've talked to casting directors about this. They're like, you can have the script in your hand, you can peek down and just give us your best take, and they would know what they're looking for. But like Philip Seymour Hoffman said, you're not going to get the character down, for an audition. You're just not,
Mm.
unless if it's two lines for maybe, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, a TV drama or something. But the next thing I want to ask you then is about your process, because Anthony Hopkins claims to read, and claims, I mean, I believe him, reads the script 250 times. What is your process from the moment you get the script to you
Hmm.
perform it?
Well, it's evolving. It's changing over the years. I've never
How
read
so?
anything 200.
Get
I
into.
mean,
I want all of it.
yeah. Well, I use and I can tell you some stories. I've befriended, or like I've met Judi Dench a few times, and she's the opposite. She reads. She just takes the jobs, like somebody thinks she's good for it, she'll accept it without even reading it. Apparently, so that's entirely different than her good pal, Sir Anthony Hopkins. But I read it a bunch, and then I'll go. Like I recently did an off-Broadway production of. It was an adaptation of Richard II, and I played the Duke of York. That was crazy. Anyway, but as a woman set in the 80s in a queer New York, anyway, but it was still all Shakespeare. And I read this fantastic new sort of like history book called The Eagle in the Heart, all about the tragedy of Richard II and Henry IV. Now, I never aspired to play the Duke of York or anything like that, but I learned a lot, and I was even able to bring a lot to that. I think the text is where you start. Obviously, like you just read it. And, yes, read it many times. Sometimes I do, as I say, different things. Sometimes I'll go and I'll just contemplate the words, even if they're not Shakespearean or if it's just a contemporary piece. I'll just like contemplate the words and what are the operative words, what are the important things, and take notes in the sidelines of the in the side of the script. Question. I've always questions. Why is she this? What happened just before? I mean, that's you're given circumstances, you're all the basics, like what's happened just before the scene and the story. Who was this person before this moment of this play, or um, TV show or film or something. Sometimes you have a lot of information. Sometimes you don't have time to do all the deep diving. And that's where I would say things have changed, is that we have shorter and shorter rehearsal periods, which is really frustrating. Especially, well, it doesn't. I was going to say especially for classical work, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just shocking how much time. Right, currently, I'm understudying a Broadway show that's very successful. It's five characters, but They had so little rehearsal period, and it's a big old hit and everything.
Can you mention it?
Yes, it's Becky Shaw. It's running on Broadway for the next 6 weeks, I guess. It's been opened, and it's 5 characters. One film actor who's never done a play before, who's getting all the accolades. A big fat TV star called Patrick Ball, who's on The Pit. A couple Broadway, Tony nominees. Yeah, and three Broadway debuts. Anyway, all that to say, they had to do they had like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of rehearsal before tech, and they had to do so many hours within that time of publicity and picture taking, and it was ridiculous.
Right.
It's shocking how great it is, and and it's a 20-year-old play. It's and anyway, it's doing wonderfully, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. But yeah, it's very, very interesting that we get a shorter rehearsal period. So that's a challenge. Let's see, what else do I do? Work on my, continue to try and stay healthy, my vocal, production,
right,
and all that stuff, and physical, keep healthy.
You have to take care of the instrument.
Yeah.
It's all we got. You really do. You really do. And craft services is great, but
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, playing a man, how did you do that? Was the role cast as a woman, or were you playing a man?
This time I was cast as a woman. I was kind of and it was kind of cool because I had all this warlike language. About 10 years ago, I did at Yale Rep. I played Cymbeline, the warrior in Shakespeare's Cymbeline, as a man. So I was a diminutive, angry, medieval king. So that was really fun. I mean, I did lower my voice.
I don't think of you as diminutive.
Oh, thank you. Well, maybe but I had to do sword fights and all sorts of stuff. That was really fun. And I did sort of lower my center of gravity. And yeah, I did move slightly differently. And I imagine my voice was a bit lower. There was an angry person. And the other one was more of I don't know, she was a cross between she looked like a cross between Queen Elizabeth II and Elizabeth Dole or something. And it was not the prettiest. It wasn't the glamour part. But I also had to be really angry, and I had all these speeches about having been at war with, Bolingbroke's father. And, I had to chastise the king and all his friends.
So anyway, how do you come up with that backstory? Because obviously, Kathryn, you have not been at war.
Yeah.
So how do you manufacture that authenticity? Maybe manufacture is not the best word.
Well, it's just your imagination, number one. And as I said, weird things go into the person beyond the male parent, warrior, uncle, etc. In this particular case, even though we said it in the 80s, there was also some research about, what are all those 80s movies? Those money movies from the 80s. Anyway, there was
Lethal Weapon or violent Wall Street.
Wall Street. Yes.
Right. Wall Street.
Guys.
When you said money, I thought you said money making. Wall Street.
Wall Street. So I did sort of research on the 80s power structure in New York City, because that's kind of where we were setting it. So that combined with the actual medieval history of Richard II and Henry IV, and what Shakespeare chose, and so how much of it was true. This guy was always being put in charge. And so I was able to just both using your imagination and research. That's how I come up with it.
The research is big.
Yeah, especially if it's there. Especially if it's there,
it just gives you more. It gives you more choices. Yeah. Do you ever write a page on your backstory? Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. I'm the part I'm covering right now, and we had a full rehearsal, dress rehearsal yesterday. The character has MS, and she's also just very cynical and questioning and dark and possibly formerly abusive. And she has very little language on the page. It's kind of shocking, because also she speaks of a certain generation and says some really not these days deeply inappropriate things, but that's who she is. But I found a really weird page that I printed out about how a person with MS wishes that people knew how angry and tired they are all the time, but there's no way to explain it unless you've got it. And that was that's a key into that character.
That's
anything. You could just fill your pockets with almost anything you come across and go, ooh.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes if you like get in the zone, you like meditating, you just be surprised. Like suddenly it's there. Like, oh, I never thought of that. That literally was something I found. I don't know it wasn't even the New York Times. I don't know how it came up, but I printed it out from some feed, and I'm not even on social media that much. But anyway, I was like, that's perfect for this character. You know?
That's good stuff. That is really good stuff. And that's good for people to know. That's good stuff. So now I've noticed when I look at your IMDb page, I think you are the typical New York stage performer where I see all of these New York shows that you dip your toe in.
Oh, yeah.
That, like I'll see 2 episodes. I mean, I think you've done every show in New York.
No. But
I mean, Damages, Law and Order, this and that.
Yeah.
I mean, where you play this, you play that. There was even, I think, Law and Order, you played 2 different people, which was.
I was on the Mothership twice. And then I was on SVU twice, the first year and then much later. So I've been on it for like 4 times.
So how come you haven't attempted to do more in film and television? Because stage is your passion?
No, gosh, no. I mean, if I could do more, I would. I mean, it is my passion and I feel most at home there. And interestingly, Gary, like every time I'm on a set, especially this last time, because I was off when we worked together in the chair company, I had been off doing the Harry Potter play for 6-7 years.
Right. You were in London, right?
Yeah. I did the first year on Broadway, and then I did it for a year in London. Then I was there for the pandemic, and then I was there for 4 more years after that. So it was crazy. Anyway, and then I was bi-coastal for about 20 years. So I do have a bunch of guest spots on my resume that are also in LA, which was cool. So there's no reason. I would love to have done more film and television. I would say personal life, I was married for a long time, and I would always make choices for the partner, and both my partners were like actors, and I would go out and do regional theater things. And yeah, it's a good question. And there was a time in my young career where people would say, I don't understand why you're not a movie star. And that would, get into your beliefs. You start to believe like, yeah, well, I don't know what's wrong with that. I used to want to do major motion pictures so I could put meat in the seats for like Shakespeare plays, so I would be the person, the star, putting meat in the seats for plays. Now, back in the day, I would do Broadway shows. Like currently, until I get my next big break on film or television, and I still have hope for that. Like I currently wouldn't be necessarily up for a lead on Broadway because it's the nature of the business as well. A lot of my friends who are on, TV series or have been on regulars on long series, they're all saying the business is really challenged at the moment. A lot of things are going out of the country, and they're not.
Correct.
They're not meeting people's quotes. I mean, a dear friend of mine was a series regular on Grey's Anatomy, and a friend of mine was like a president of SAG in California. I just had dinner with her last night and the other night. And it's a challenging time. So the answer is not a choice. I would have loved to do it, but life shows you different things, I would love to have more experience in front of the camera. And every time I do it, I feel like I'm starting over. I'm learning a new craft when I'm on film and television. I remember I hadn't done it for a long time. I had a tiny guest spot on, I can never even remember the name of these TV shows. The one that was with, it was like the Sherlock Holmesy one. Anyway, it was just a tiny little guest spot.
No. I saw it right here. Hang on, I can.
You can tell me what I've been
yeah. Watts. It's Holmes. Yeah, it's the modern version of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, exactly. What was it?
Yeah. I see you got Body of Proof, Private Practice, The Closer, Lie to Me, Grey's Anatomy, New Amsterdam, Brothers and Sisters, CSI Miami. Without a Trace, that was a great show. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
No, I can't remember that. It'll come to me. But anyway, I remember Sandra Oh saying, "Honey, you don't have to get that close." And I like learning how to hit your mark and all these things. And I did a really funny one in this
Elementary.
Elementary. That's right.
Elementary. I love that show.
Such a simple title. Elementary. He was amazing. Now that guy, the lead on that British guy, he had a photographic memory. He could remember all that dialogue without any effort whatsoever. I wish I had that too.
That's annoying. That is so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember, so another way that I felt like a newbie. So the show that we did, it was finally my coverage after a dinner break or something of this big scene with Tim Robinson. And like, because I had done it so much before, like ducking out of frame when I left because I was right by the camera and I couldn't go out the door, that when it was even my coverage, instead of going out the door, I ducked out of frame. We all laughed. Like it was ridiculous. But I was just because I was like, it's been so long since I've done it.
Oh
So I
yeah,
feel more at
yeah.
home on stage. But
Well, it
I
sounds
mean,
like
if I,
Johnny Lee Miller was the actor, but it sounds
oh
like
yeah,
your
he was
passion
wonderful.
is Shakespeare.
Mm, I feel like, I feel like because I was born to it, into it, because my dad started the Still Shakespeare Theater,
Right.
and so it was kind of like a second language for me. It's it feels not more, less like more like a collaboration with him, like
Hmm.
more like, and sometimes in times in my life when I really need something, a Shakespeare gig will just fall in my lap, which actually happened this autumn when it was my first job after Harry Potter, after the chair company. Actually, that was the first one, but
Yeah.
and I was like, hey, wow, isn't this interesting? And I was like putting up a new shelf because my second parent, my dad, passed away. And of course, all the Shakespeare stuff that was in their home was coming to me. And I was putting up a new shelf and I had this little Shakespeare plate that was my parents. And I was like, I wonder if doing Richard II will be any like, do some good karma clearing with my dad and Shakespeare and acting. And the plate smashed. And I was like, okay, that's the answer. It's definitely good. I got a replacement on eBay right away. But I was also looking because I had met Judi Dench for a third time actually in London when I was there at the laying of a stone for John Gielgud at Westminster Abbey. Long story, but so magical. All the
Wow.
sirs and dames and me. It was fantastic. But then I became good friends with her daughter, who brought me this book that was Shakespeare. It was about and I have like few notes from Judi Dench actually, but she signed it for me just before I left. It's for Kathryn with Love, Judi Dench. Anyway, but it's called Shakespeare, the Man Who Pays the Rent, and it's all about all her experiences with her late husband and and Shakespeare, just like how
Right.
she did it all the time. And I feel like I'd like to keep doing it, and I'm grateful for it. I've been blessed to be able to do 4 Shakespeare in the Parks, which is
That must
such a
be
magical place
amazing.
to be. It
That's
is.
got to be like the best.
It really is. It really is. It really is.
I mean,
Fantastic.
not to get too out there, but that is the purest. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it all started.
And
You
it's
know,
like it's free and it's given to the city free and it's magical.
it's like a troupe of performers going into a village in 1600, and then they just do a play and they put a hat out and
Yeah.
that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's still what it is. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
still
know.
what it is. Um, so the chair company,
No, I have to apologize about Evan. They asked him if they could dye his hair at the stylist today, and he was too polite to say no. Oh. You know, my husband, he does embarrassing stuff all the time. Like today, he brought home a new dog, and then he left for the whole day. And so I was alone with the dog all day. And Barb, I am going to steal you away.
which you were awesome to work with,
Oh,
and
great.
we had a great group of people. Joseph, as I mentioned, we have a couple of other cast members coming on. Um, uh, both Josephs will be coming on later in the month. So, I mean, just what was the experience like for you? For me, it was certainly a learning experience. Because the script is certainly something I've never seen before, and it's a smash hit. Like my kids love it. My
Yeah.
daughter's 24, my son's 21. That young, they love it. It's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, Tim's blowing up. Lake is great. Mike is great. Joseph who
Yeah.
plays Mike. I mean, and the stuff, like even the stuff we did at the dining room table,
I
it's
know.
just what was your experience like? What'd you
Well,
think?
as I said, it was like the first one in a long time. I think the last film or something I did a small role in The Greatest Showman, which was cool. But anyway, so it'd been a long
Right, you
time.
played the mother.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
It's
you played
fun.
mother.
Let's see. I found it, well, I was excited and nervous, but I also had all these, I think I mentioned, partly you were part of it, but there are all these things that came from my past. Somebody had seen me in a Shakespeare play in Massachusetts in the 80s, and somebody else had worked on, the costume designer had worked with me in Williamstown Theater Festival.
Right.
And anyway, and there are all these, and then Dominic, we had worked together in this, on a first movie ever. Anyway, but
wait, stop there for a minute. I want you to tell that story. Okay. Dominic plays the gentleman in the episode where we're at the dinner table and he brings the balls, he brings the snacks. Yeah, and he has that little thing with Tim. And then we're in the room, the holding room or whatever. They put us, we're in, waiting to go on. And
that horrible gym in the
gym, yeah, in the mansion that we were in. And then you two, we had been like hanging out for a couple hours. Then like you two like looked at each other like two lost friends, and you go, "Wait a minute, tell that story."
Yeah. Well, first of all, we were in the van going over, and he goes, and he's sort of hard to forget. His energy is very different. He's like, "Kathryn, we were on the last season of Guiding Light, right?" And I was like, "Maybe." And then I'm like, because his energy is really hard to. I mean,
he's very unique.
Yes,
he's
right.
very unique. And he's a good guy, but he's unique.
Suddenly, I went ding, 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 and my eyes said, "Wait a minute, Dominic. I seem to remember. Did you ever play like a security guard, maybe in a hospital, and in a horror movie?" And he was like, "Basket case 2. You got some fucking attitude, lady." That was his line. And it's on his freaking demo reel. Like he has a whole reel of security guards and cops, and it's still on his reel. And he remembered it to the. It was amazing. And he actually came to see my play, Richard II, in the autumn, winter. That was
He's
so
a very
funny.
sweet man. He's a very sweet man. He's a very
dedicated,
sweet man.
Completely dedicated to acting.
There's no doubt.
His entire life. Yeah.
His entire life. No, that was terrific. That was terrific.
Yeah, there were lots of magical moments about that.
What is it like to play a show for 5 years, 6 years? The same role, right?
I never had the experience before, and I'll never have it again. But like, unless I think you're in a chorus person in a Broadway musical, one rarely has that opportunity. I guess it would be like similar to, well, except that you're doing the same show every night, like being a long-running TV series or something. But the beautiful thing about it was the friendships you make. I mean, you always make great friends with what we do, but those were deeper. And also because we went through the pandemic, and I was the sole American over there when I was doing it in London, and they all looked after me. And I have some incredible soul lifelong friends. So that's cool. I don't know.
Did it ever get boring? I mean, Harry, we know this. I mean, it's the same play every night. It's Harry Potter. But did it ever get boring? How do you keep it fresh? Well,
this is the thing. I think I never got bored. First of all, it was a 2-part play. I got to enter on a count and do all these different things. And it's a great story to tell. But the reason why it's always different is because it's always a different group of people watching it, and they've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
And it can get very challenging. I mean, it can make you go crazy a little bit. Sometimes they're like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm changing these shoes again and walking up the same stairs again." That was usually when it was off stage. When I was on stage, it never got boring.
The audience.
It's always a different moment. That's what I was talking about before. It's like you got to be in the moment. It's just now. It's not yesterday. It's not tonight's performance. It's not tomorrow's performance. It's just the moment you're in. It's just, and it's just 1,200 or however many people watching it who are different, except for this crazy super fans. But anyway, but that's why I didn't get bored. I found it thrilling. Also, I think I come to it, Gary, with a place of real gratitude in my heart for the opportunity. I say like almost every single time before I walk on stage, even for different scenes, I'm like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," or "Let me shine and serve. Let me do this. Let me like make a difference. Let me do what I'm supposed to do." If I forget that, then I suppose I get in my way. But so, yeah, I wasn't bored. I mean, I couldn't do it. There's a long story about how I could have stayed for another year, but I just, that would have driven me crazy. You wanted to come
home. Yeah. What was it like being away from home?
If I could have gotten a second visa, I would have, but it's a long story. But I had to come home and take care of business. Also, I do find right now that I've been away a long time, and that it's a whole new group of people casting things, directing things. I've lost some directors Sadly, I've got to let people know. In fact, the reason I got the job I'm in now is I was at the dentist, and I ran into a dear old casting director who had cast me in my first Broadway show in 1995 or something. And I went, hey, da, 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 and the next day my agent got a call for this gig that I'm in now. So I need to let them know I'm back, but
that's the way it
that's
always
one
works.
thing you get out of the loop, but yeah.
Well, Kathryn, this has been phenomenal.
I could keep going for a long time. We should do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, if you have any advice, if you have any thoughts from anybody in this or young people becoming involved in it, or even someone like me who in his mid-50s says, you know what, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to give this a shot. What would you say?
I would say, if you believe it and believe in yourself, just do it. Dream it, and then you'll do it. But you have to take the steps. You have to go to the class, make the connections, take every opportunity, say yes to opportunities. And I'm sorry, also live life, explore. Don't just do it for the, here's my advice to young people today. Just don't do it just for your Instagram account. Care about what the work, and dare to be vulnerable when you're learning how to act, when you're being directed. Because you have to have a lot of trust in this to tell these stories. Because sometimes you're going to play people that aren't nice, and sometimes you're going to have to do scenes with characters that aren't nice, and tell difficult stories. Even funny stories are difficult. I mean, that's the chair company has a certain weird vulnerability. That's what they call it, cringe comedy. It's like people relate to that. But anyway, I would say keep yourself open and explore the life and observe people. Yeah.
Well, Kathryn, the highlight for me was having a picture taken with you.
Oh, you're funny.
Don't you? It kills me. In the episode where Tim goes into the room and you discover him after, like I think in the next episode, but he goes into the room and he looks and he sees a picture of you and me, technically in front of Niagara Falls, and he goes, "Whoa, Niagara Falls!" For some reason, that makes me laugh.
You know what? You asked about one of the more difficult things was I learned my cues, but he's making up. He's the writer, the star, the producer.
Yeah.
And so I was like waiting for a cue. And then, so I wasn't always, I was nervous because I was like, I don't know how to improv as well. I didn't come from SCTV or anything, but that was sort of exciting and nerve-wracking, thrilling because it's his piece and his baby.
And I went in for the hug on Lake, and I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should have done that. When you hugged her, so I hugged her, and I went. I didn't even. And I will say this: I was in the moment because I didn't even think it. I swear to God, maybe it's a good acting note. I didn't even think it was like, okay, well, if she does it, so I'm like, so my backstory. By the way, I told Joseph my backstory. I go, my backstory is number one, I'm dumb. Number two, I really wear nice clothes. Number one, I cheat on Alice every chance I get, but if I got caught, she would castrate me.
Of course, yeah.
How am I doing? I think I'm doing all right. So I go in for the hug, and then after I did it, I went, oh boy, I don't know if I should have done. And they cut it out anyways. But it was like, it was just like that's what you do when people come into a party. But I'll tell you, Lake is nails, right? I mean, she's on point. She's like the adult in the room.
Yeah.
Because Tim, they're red hot though, man. I mean, it's like a horror, it's like a horror cringe comedy thing. And there's more coming out. More people are going to try to do what they do. Look, every generation, there's something new.
Yeah.
It just is. Absolutely. I mean, my parents loved Bob Hope. I loved Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I mean,
yes, absolutely.
My dad, my dad didn't really get Eddie Murphy, you know. But he got Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Everybody's got something, What's next for you? You're doing an understudy now, and then
that's finished mid-June. I don't know. I'm missing a couple of things over there in the UK. I'm just socially, so I might go for a visit. I have nothing, and to be honest, this spring has been a little bit slower for me audition wise. But that's
you're not alone.
Yeah, I think everybody says that. So we'll see. I'm feeling very maybe it's because it's May 1st and it's a beautiful day, but I'm feeling sort of a subtle expectancy, a positive one, Don't know what it's going to be.
You have to be. Look,
yeah.
in this business, you have to.
Yeah, it's not always easy, but,
It's not. But boy, when it works, fireworks. Kathryn, you're the best. Hopefully I'll see you.
You're the best. It's so good to see you.
Yes, you too. Hugs back. Thanks for coming on Addicted to Happy.
All right. Take care.